The restaurant had finally settled after the lunch rush, leaving behind only the soft hum of the overhead lights and the occasional clatter of dishes from the back. Most tables sat empty now, save for a few lingering customers scrolling on their phones. Emma wiped her hands on her apron as she stepped out from behind the counter. That's when she noticed him, a small boy, maybe 7 or 8, sitting alone in a corner booth meant for 4. His tiny shoulders were hunched, trembling with each quiet sob. His plate of macaroni and cheese sat untouched, the cheese skin forming on top from sitting too long. At first, Emma thought maybe someone had just stepped away, but then she saw the boy's backpack on the seat beside him, zipped tight as if he'd carried everything he owned with him. He dragged a sleeve across his cheeks, making a faint sniffling sound that cut through Emma more sharply than any noise in the restaurant. She glanced toward the manager who was busy scolding a busboy and wouldn't notice if she broke protocol. Emma approached the table gently, kneeling down to get eye level. "Hey there," she said softly. "Mind if I sit for a second?" The boy didn't look up. He just shook his head, the kind of shake that meant he didn't mind, but he also didn't want to bother anyone. Emma slid into the seat anyway, careful and quiet. "What's your name?" she asked. He took him a moment. "Lucas." His voice was thin, almost swallowed by the restaurant's empty space. Emma's heart tightened. "Lucas, a broken bar. Are you here with someone?" He hesitated, then whispered, "My dad was supposed to come." A gentle comfort. Emma felt the weight of those words settle heavily between them. She leaned forward, resting her forearms on the table. "Did something happen?" she asked gently. Lucas swallowed hard. "He said he'd meet me after his meeting. He said he promised." The last word cracked, and his eyes filled again, tears clinging to his lashes before spilling over. Emma exhaled softly. She had seen stressed customers, angry customers, hungry customers, but this was different. This was loneliness. She didn't think twice. She stood up, walked to the kitchen window, and called through to the cook. "Frank, can I get 2 warm rolls?" He raised an eyebrow. "You hungry?" "For a friend," she said, nodding toward Lucas. Frank softened and handed her the rolls wrapped in a small basket towel. Back at the table, Emma set the rolls down. "These are on the house," she said. "Emergency comfort food." Lucas sniffled but reached for one, tearing off a small piece. For a moment, he seemed to forget he'd been crying. Emma smiled. "You know, when I was your age, my mom was late to everything. I used to sit in places like this a lot. Sometimes I'd pretend to catch up bottles for little people to keep me company." Lucas gave a tiny giggle, the first sound of happiness she had heard from him. Encouraged, she continued telling silly stories about how her dog once ate an entire sock, and how she had chased him around the yard thinking he'd swallowed a ghost. Bit by bit, Lucas's breathing calmed, his shoulders relaxed, his eyes brightened. The empty restaurant didn't feel so big anymore. Just when Emma thought he might fully smile, he glanced toward the door again, a hope flickering, then fading. "He's not coming. A broken bar, is he?" Lucas whispered. Emma placed a gentle hand over his. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I'm right here with you until he does." Here are expanded versions of Scene 3, Scene 4, and Scene 5, written with cinematic pacing and emotional depth. The soft chime above the restaurant door rang sharp and clear in the otherwise quiet space. Emma glanced up instinctively, still sitting beside Lucas. The boy followed her gaze, a small spark of hope flickering in his eyes. 3 people stepped inside. First came a man in his mid-40s, tall, with steel-gray eyes and a suit that looked tailored enough to cost more than Emma earned in a month. His posture radiated intensity like someone constantly moving through the world at double speed. Behind him were 2 assistants, tapping on tablets, whispering updates about scheduled calls and meetings. The man's presence shifted the room. Conversations hushed. Even the clink of dishes seemed to pause. Customers turned their heads in subtle curiosity. His eyes scanned the restaurant quickly, a rapid, evaluating, searching. Lucas inhaled sharply. "That's him," he whispered, voice trembling. Emma felt his little hand grip her sleeve tightly. The billionaire's gaze swept over empty booths, the counter, the kitchen door, and then landed on Lucas. Emma expected relief to wash over his face. Instead, something like frustration flickered through, an uncomfortable mix of guilt and impatience. He strode forward, his polished shoes echoing across the tile floor. His assistants tried to keep up, still whispering scheduled reminders, but he waved them off sharply. As he approached, Emma could feel the air thicken with tension. Lucas shrank slightly behind her, shoulders curling in. Emma angled her body protectively without even thinking. The man stopped at the table, exhaling through his nose as if bracing himself. "Lucas," he said, voice low and stern. "We need to go." Lucas didn't move. He pressed closer to Emma, small hands tightening around the edge of her apron. His father blinked in surprise. He not used to being rejected, especially not by his own child. Emma rose slowly from the booth, placing herself between them, and not aggressive, simply present. "Sir," she said calmly, "he's been waiting for you for over an hour." The billionaire stiffened, his jaw clenched. No one spoke to him like that. Not his employees, not board members, not shareholders. But this waitress, a young, tired, wearing a uniform with a faint coffee stain, looked at him without fear. He swallowed, and the mask cracked. "A broken bar had a meeting," he said, but the words sounded hollow even to himself. It ran long. Emma kept her gaze steady. Your son needed you more. For a moment, he didn't respond. His shoulders rose and fell once, sharply, as if the weight of the truth had landed on him all at once. His assistants looked away, awkward and out of place. Then he knelt. Emma hadn't expected that. He lowered himself to Lucas's height, expensive suit creasing against the floor, hands resting carefully on his knees. It was the first moment he seemed human rather than untouchable. Lucas, a broken bar, his voice wavered. I'm sorry, I really am. The boy sniffed, tears forming again, and not from sadness this time, but from confusion, from longing. You always say that, Lucas whispered. But you keep forgetting me. The billionaire closed his eyes briefly, pain washing over his face. When he opened them, they were softer, less guarded, more real. You're right, he said quietly. I've been so busy trying to be broken bar everything else, that I forgot how to be your dad. Emma felt her own throat tighten. How the billionaire reached for Lucas slowly, giving him time to choose. This time, Lucas stepped forward on his own and wrapped his arms around his father's neck. The man's eyes widened, startled by how fragilely his son felt in his arms. He held him tightly, one hand gently cradling the back of Lucas's head. A long, trembling breath escaped him, as if he hadn't realized how much he needed this moment. After several seconds, he stood, still carrying Lucas with ease. He turned to Emma. Thank you, he said, not formal, not empty, but deeply sincere, for being here when I wasn't. He pulled out a card and attempted to offer it to hear some combination of gratitude and guilt, but Emma shook her head. I didn't do it for that, she said softly. He just needed someone. The billionaire nodded slowly, the gesture full of understanding rather than offense. Then you've given him more than I have today. Lucas, still nestled against his father's shoulder, looked at Emma and gave a small, grateful smile, a smile that said thank you for not leaving me alone. I'll make this right, his father murmured, mostly to Lucas, starting now. With one final grateful look toward Emma, the man carried his son out of the restaurant. The door closed quietly behind them. Emma watched through the window as the billionaire paused outside, adjusting his schedule on the spot, waving away his assistants, focusing on Lucas completely, maybe for the first time in a long time. A tiny moment of kindness in a nearly empty restaurant had changed the course of an entire day. Maybe more than just a day.